Okay, here we go. Ooh, it looks like a good season. And first up is Clue. Okay, where is everybody? Nobody's picnicking. It's a beautiful night. There's usually a line at the gate there. Oh, yeah. Okay, yes, this is not ideal. Since 1954, the Grove has brought you a summer season, and we love doing it. But this year's different. So, not a season like we're used to seeing, and we could sit and pout about that, or we could roll with the punches. And that's what we're going to do this year. So the show will go on, but different. Now, what does that mean? Well, don't worry, it's not going to be 10 hours of me doing sock puppet shows, but there will be a variety. There will be some entertainment, some history, some backstage stories. We're going to try to make you laugh, think, and smile, like a normal Grove season. We begin tonight on what would have been the opening night of season 67, and we're starting with a tour of the Grove. Oh no, no, don't you check out. No, yeah, you've been here, but you haven't seen everything that's here. The Grove has layers. She's mysterious. So we're bringing you in the show number one slot little bite-sized installments, a tour of the Grove with some history and fun facts included. So where normally this would have been Clue, we're going to give you a clue about what's here, how and when it got here, and how it's changed over the years. And it all starts when you pull into the parking lot. Oh, actually, hang on. Quick introduction for those of you who haven't had the pleasure. Meet Fletcher and Margaret Collins. They're the reason we're here. In 1953, they built this place, so they're kind of crucial to the story. We'll call them Margaret and Fletch for short. Okay, you pull in and there's the Oak Grove wooden sign. In the Grove archives, the tree first appears as a logo of sorts in 1956. The original sign was carved by Robbins Gates, a Mary Baldwin professor and audience member, until Fletch told him he should be on the stage. He ended up being the second Grove president in 1977. Fletch was the first, and he made the lantern. 10 years ago, this guy remade the sign and refurbished the lantern. Now, of course, you all know what this is. This is where you bring your dinner and your wine, and you have your little pre-show tailgate. Yeah, it's a little messy right now. That's because normally a team of volunteers assembles each year, usually in April or May, and blows leaves, picks up branches, spreads mulch, cleans out the spider webs, and sprays for poison ivy, all to get ready for the season's open. It's a sweaty, sweaty day. But back to those tables you're sitting at. They were built by James Covington, son of Randy and Mary, in 2000 for his Eagle Scout project. And before that, people brought blankets and folding tables, and some still do. If you're tailgating out in the field, the Grove leased, then purchased that land from Marion and Joe Wine in the 90s when our shows and audiences expanded. The only condition? Providing water for their cattle in the off-season. And now we have to stop and take care of a little business, so to speak. You see that in the distance? That used to be the Oak Grove bathroom. Really. Fletch speculated the Grove had the last known public one-holer in service in the country. The 1956 brochure called it a Sylvan restroom for the ladies. You know, a word of props has to go out to Betty Lee here. Betty Lee was a fixture in the early days of the Grove, but one old Grove member remembered the outhouse being called the Betty Lee Memorial Outhouse. Another just mentioned that Betty Lee had her own spot in the woods before shows that everyone knew to avoid. Betty Lee, you also kick butt on stage, so let's not have lack of plumbing be your only mention here. Also, with lack of plumbing, producers had to bring 2 giant igloo coolers full of water from home each night and a bag of lime to treat the outhouse before the audience arrived. So if you ever thought about being a producer at the Grove, at least you don't have to do that anymore. When this version, Yay Plumbing, was constructed in 1985 with financial support from friends known as Fletcher's Flush Fund, you couldn't just have it be open. We're theater people. There had to be a premiere. The Friday night opening of Angel Street was followed by the official opening. The crowd hushed as Tidge Roller and Margaret flushed the ladies and Doug Roller and Fletch flushed the men's. The applause was followed by Miss Privy, Susan Swift, daughter of Joan and Mac, bursting through the center door with toilet paper sash and a plunger as a scepter. The crowd roared and all traipsed down to the pavilion for the cast party. So now we come to snack time. This didn't used to be here. As far back as season 2, it was an old Coke machine, and by the 70s, 80s, 2 Coke chests sat right about here, and Grove teens ran the stand. In 1996, this guy designed the new stand, and these guys built it. For years, Kiwanis ran the stand, and last year the Grove had local theater students run the operations so they could use the funds to take back to their high school programs. Oh yeah, we'd be remiss not to mention this while we're here. We're outside. Things happen. Like last month, when a tree almost crushes your pretty concession stand. Thankfully, these 2 guys, who grew up to be these 2 guys, and who are now board members, got it safely to the ground. Speaking of board members, that's who you see when you finally get to the gate. The board rotates nights to welcome guests into the 7 nights of shows. Sometimes the show's producer is also at the gate, and here we have Patrick, who's ready to let us in.
Welcome to Oak Grove, everybody. Please, no running, no jumping, no pushing, no shoving, and no biting. If you do see an actor, do not look them directly in the eyes. Welcome to Oak Grove 2020 Behind the Season.